Okay, this is where we finish the project. First thing we're going to do is go into Bryce, and we're going to open up the sculpture and make sure it's all selected, and just select copy under edit. And now without closing, I'm going to open stage, and same thing, I'm going to go up to edit, select paste, and your project should be in there, and there it is. And now I'm just going to position it, move the stage around, play around here and see what I can do. This part takes me a little while just because I need to consider all my possibilities, which I'm sure you already understand that. Again, I'm just going to spend a minute or two here just adjusting. So the neat thing about creating a sculpture in a program such as Bryce is that every little detail seems to make the final composition, including positioning of the object. So I'm just going to look around at some different angles here. And again, this is probably one of the most time-consuming parts of the process for me. I'm not sure how your workflow is, but I'm really picky about where my object's going to be positioned and try to really grab the viewer here. Just going to raise that up so there's no sky. In this project, again, I don't want any sky showing. I just mainly want a stage and your backdrop or your back wall or walls. Here now I'm just selecting some of the individual objects. I'm going to give textures to them. On the base, I'm just going to start with a simple flat color, maybe. Start with a flat white. And notice my base, you can't see it. It's under the ground. So I'm going to lift this up a little bit. And now the base is coming up here. You should be able to at least see it on the stage now. Here I'm going to select the U and ungroup it. Now I have all my parts again. So the nice thing about grouping is you can ungroup it, and now you can select individual objects to give textures on them. You may want to texture your object when you're creating it, or you may want to wait till you have it on the stage like I'm doing. There really is no one set way to do it. So now I'm selecting the pyramids underneath, and I'm going to give one a flat white color, or a blue. Sorry, I'm going to start with a blue and see how that looks. Not much difference there. For some reason this color doesn't have much variation when you adjust the controls, so some of the colors do not respond to the sliders very well. That looks okay. I think I can do better. So there what I did was I went onto the object and I pushed control and I selected the right object. You can do that. If an object's hard to select, just point the arrow over it, push and hold down control and left click, and you get the option to select the correct object. And also you can tab will take you through all the selections till you find the one you want. So here I'm just selecting individual objects by hitting tab or putting the mouse over the object. See there, I hit control and then I grab the cylinder. Again, flat white. And so now the base and the center of my sculpture have a white texture. Same thing, I hit control and then select the object. Later I'll show you how to name them. Here, let's try some different colors on the center rings there. Give it a little color variation. Same thing with the other larger band there around it. I'm going to give that a red. See how those stack up against the white. Okay. Oh, I'm still on the inner ring, I guess. So I'll take the outer ring here. Control, click the object you want. And let's try maybe another red there. That looks kind of plain. So I'm going to add a blue there for some color variation. Okay, now we're starting to look at something that's a little more dynamic. Next, I'm going to select the cones here that I stretched out. I just like the way they jet out of the object there. And let's give those a solid color. Let's try a blue. That looks a little more interesting. I'm not sure it has enough color variation, but something to start with. Okay, and I'm just going to again play around with the repositioning here. Okay, that looks pretty good. Here I'm going to select everything, and then I'm going to push shift and deselect by clicking on the objects with shift push down. So I can just select the sculpture here, and then I can regroup it if I want. So I'm going to click G there. Now the sculpture is one again. So the nice thing is you can ungroup it to do individual editing on individual objects, and then you can regroup it, which is cool. So again, just playing with positioning here. You know, it's a little bit of adjustment and then readjustment. You know, that's how it works. Okay, oops, I accidentally raised the wall there. Now you can just bring that back down. So here I'm trying to click on a wall here in the back, and if it's not working for you, there we go, now I'm resizing it. Okay, so now you have a nice wall that extends out. Again, just making some adjustments here. Not the best angle there, so I keep searching here. Okay, here I'm gonna make another wall. So I'm just from a top view. First, I'm gonna resize that stage here, and if you notice here, I've brought the stage back to the object here. And what I'm going to do is go again from the top, select that wall. I'm going to duplicate it by clicking Control G or Control D, excuse me, and then I just rotated the duplicated wall. So Control D will duplicate a selected object, then you can rotate it and move it away from the other. So I just created a quick wall by duplicating the back wall. Okay, and you can see it there. Looks like another wall on the other side showing up. I don't know why. But there you go. See, now you only have one additional corner wall there. So now when I select it, you're going to see two walls behind it. It's sort of in the corner now. If you look in the nano preview window, you can see the two walls butting up against each other. So here I'm just adjusting for a good setting for the sun, or maybe even I kind of want to mute the light, I think, and let the artificial lights do the work here. So I'm going to try to get just enough sunlight on there to make it interesting. That looks pretty cool right there. Let's see if I can enhance that a little more, or in my case, make it worse by continuing to fiddle. So, but yeah, you can play around with the sun before you even begin to put the lights in. And again, I think you pretty much understand how powerful these lighting tools are. So I'm just gonna just try to get enough to just kind of sprinkle the object with a tiny bit of light, maybe. There we go. That's even more muted. So I like that. And I'll let the artificial lights illuminate the rest of the object. Okay, now we're ready to start putting the lights in. Here's a radial light, and again, you get a nice sheen on it, but you can also see the washed out area of the light. So again, you can see the other wall there too, and the shadows are coming off pretty nice. So I'm going to move the light around, just sort of feel out what works best. That looks kind of cool too. I don't want to draw too much of the eye away from the object, though. I want to keep the focus on the object, and that's what I want you to do for your sculpture. Really draw my eye to your sculpture. That's a little better. Now the focus is more on the actual sculpture. So here I'm going to enhance bring down the radial lighting just a little bit to mute it. That looks pretty good. Just mute it a little more. Okay, so now you have just more of a natural overall room lighting going on there. And what I'm going to do is let my spotlight provide the dramatic effect. Okay, now here I'm going to put some colors on the walls and the floor here. I actually put a color on the floor and it didn't work because I forgot I put that cube down. So I'm going to go ahead and select the cube now and add the same color. And now you should see a yellowish color down below. So I was trying to create a sort of a complement to the blue. Being that the lighting's muted, though, it's hard to get it just right. So here I'm putting kind of a soft yellow on the wall too. Again, I think I'm going to bring that down just a little bit. And notice here the spot on the wall. I don't want that. So I'm going to go into the Materials lab. And I'm going to mute the specularity. The specularity will get rid of that reflective surface. So there you've gotten rid of that specular area. And now I can bring this back up if I want and just get the lighting a little better. There we go. Now the colors are starting to come out a little more. Alright, so bump that up just a hair more. There we go. So now you've really seen the colors. Things are illuminating nicely. So next step here I think is, let's get this wall there, the gray wall. So I'm going to put some color on this other wall, see what I can do here. Flat white doesn't really work there. Okay, let me select that wall again. And let's try one of these glassy surfaces, like a blue sort of reflective. That looks kind of neat. Kind of brings out that wash of the light, though. Let's try this bumpy glass. Maybe that'll diffuse some of that. That looks kind of cool. I like the texture on it. Not sure that blue's working, though. Let's try like a reddish orange color maybe to complement the some of the green there. So we have complements on the walls, which is kind of nice. Okay, I'm going to mute that brightness just a little bit by bringing the diffusion slider down and see what we can get there. Okay, so now I'm selecting the points here, the cones, and I'm going to give them a solid color. Let's start with a blue maybe. Okay, that looks pretty nice. I might want to try different. I'm going to try a red here, I think. I think it needs a little more color variation. There's a little too much blue, I think, overall on the project. Okay, that looks kind of cool. Kind of a patriotic, I don't know, looks like a new military weapon or something. But again, whatever sculpture you make is entirely up to you. Just use the primitive shapes. So here's my spotlight. And again, you can use whatever lights you want and however many you want. Just remember, though, the more lights you use, the longer it's going to take to render things. Lights take a long time, and so do glassy textures. So again, I'm moving the spotlight around. That looks pretty good. So you see I'm getting a nice dramatic focus onto the sculpture here. However, I think the light is a little too intense. So again, bring that down a little bit and bring the edge down to softer. Okay, that's looking a lot better. Again, it just looks like a spotlight on it, but not overpowering. And here I'm going to bump this up a little bit, and then maybe bump up the edge softness a little more. There we go. Now you got something happening here. Okay, so that's about as good as I think I can get it. So again, when you want to save it out, you're going to go File, Save Image As, / your last name. And so that's what you want to do, is create an interesting sculpture that's on a display that utilizes the grouping and nice lighting.